Good morning, children. This is part 2 from lesson number 5, a different kind of school, from your English textbook, Honeysuckle. In the previous part, I covered paragraph 1 to 9. So first of all, let's have a look on the quick summary of part 1 from paragraph 1 to 9. So students, this is the summary of part 1, paragraph 1 to 9. Here, the narrator wants to meet Miss Beam and has a great desire to observe the system of Miss Beam's school. One day, he gets the chance to visit that school. As soon as he reaches inside the school, he finds a girl whose eyes are covered with the bandage and she has difficulty to see anything. Then he meets Miss Beam, who tells the narrator about the system that is followed in her school. Along with the regular school activities, students are taught to be thoughtful and responsible citizens. Miss Beam requests the narrator to look out of the window for a minute. Outside the window, narrator finds a garden and a playground where he observes many jolly children. He tells Miss Beam that it pains him a lot that all of them have some or the other disability. Listening this, Miss Beam laughs and she informs the narrator that all this is the part of their education system. The children that are looking handicapped are not really handicapped. They are assigned the task of living a day like a handicap. As a result, they would feel the real problems of the disabled people and they learn to appreciate and understand misfortune. She further describes that each term every child has one blind day, one lame day, one deaf day, one injured day, and one dumb day. Then she explains how the children have to live during their blind day. Their eyes bandaged absolutely and they are helped by another children. Now students, we will continue the story after this in paragraph 10. There is no misery about it, Miss Beam continued. Everyone is very kind and it is really something of a game. Before the day is over, though, even the most thoughtless child realizes what misfortune is. So students, here in this paragraph, Miss Beam continues to explain the different techniques and methods that are applied in her school to teach students thoughtfulness, to make them feel the misfortune, to have consideration for the misfortunate people. So further she tells here that the students who play the role of different disabled children, they do not face any difficulty. Misery means difficulty or unpleasantness. So those students, when they are having their day as a blind, as a deaf, as a lame and other such days, they do not face any difficulty because during those days they are always helped by the other children of the school, and every other child of my school is very kind to such children. Further, she tells that students realize it as a game. They take it as a game and they perform it as a game. And finally, she tells that when the day is over, what does happen? Even a thoughtless means careless, even a careless child has the realization of what misfortune is in reality. He becomes uh, very understanding towards the problems of those who are really misfortunate, who are really disabled. The blind day is, of course, really the worst, but some of the children tell me that the dumb day is the most difficult. We cannot bandage the children's mouth So they really have to exercise their willpower. Come into the garden and see for yourself how the children feel about it. Now here Miss Beam tells the narrator that, of course, according to me, the blind day is the most difficult day for the children to perform. But some children tell that the dumb day is the most difficult day for them. Why? Because during the blind day, students have bandages on their eyes. But here, when they are performing the dumb day, we cannot bandage the children's mouth. We cannot put the bandage on the children's mouth. And so here, the students, the children, they have to they have to exercise their willpower. If they are having the strong willpower and if they can control their speech, then only they can complete the dumb day successfully. So here further Miss Beam, she tells the narrator to come into the garden and to have a look and have a meeting with the children that were there in the garden and to understand how they feel. Miss Beam led me to one of the bandaged girls. "Here is a gentleman come to talk to you," said Miss Beam, and left us. So now, after reaching in the garden, Miss Beam, she introduced me in front of a girl who was having bandages on her eyes. She told that girl that a gentleman has come to talk to you. And in this way, she left me with that girl to have a talk with her, and then she went away from that place. "Don't you ever peep?" I asked the girl. "Oh no," she exclaimed. "That would be cheating." But I had no idea it was so awful to be blind. You can't see a thing. You feel you are going to be hit by something every moment. It's such a relief just to sit down. "Are your helpers kind to you?" I asked. So here, when the narrator was with the girl, he put one question in front of the girl, and he asked that, "Don't you ever try to look through those bandages that you have on your eyes?" Listening this, the girl exclaimed, what did she say? "Oh no, I do not peep through the bandages because that would be a cheating. So I don't cheat and I don't look through the bandages." Further, she tells the narrator that I had no idea that being a blind is very bad. Awful means bad. So she told that before becoming a blind, before performing a day as a blind, I did not realize this, that being a blind is really very bad thing. And further she tells that you cannot see a thing. Means when you are performing a day as a blind, you are unable to see anything. You cannot see anything. And every moment you have a feeling that you are going to be hit by something. So further she tells that if you are performing as a blind, it is a really great relief to sit at one place and not to move here and there. Further, the narrator asked the girl that, "Are your helpers kind to you?" Means those children who are helping you through that blind day, are they really kind to you? Do they perform very well when they are helping you? Fairly means truly. But they are not as careful as I shall be when it is my turn. Those that have been blind already are the best helpers. It's perfectly ghastly not to see. I wish you would try. Shall I lead you anywhere? I asked. Now ghastly means, students, horrible or terrible. Listening this, are your helpers really kind to you? The girl answered that yes, they are always very kind to us. But further she tells that they are not as careful as I would be after performing a day as a blind. Because now I have the realization how the blind people feel when they are really blind. Further, she tells that those who have been blind already are the best helpers. Means the children who have already lived a day as a blind, they are, if they are doing the work of a helper, they are really the best helpers because they know every problem of a blind person. Then further she tells that it's perfectly ghastly not to see. Means not to see is very horrible. If you are unable to see anything, it is really very terrible, very horrible. And further she tells that I wish you would try. She tells the narrator that I have a desire that you should also try this. Now the narrator, he asks the girl that shall I lead you anywhere? He asks the girl that does she have any need to go anywhere? Oh yes, she said. Let's go for a little walk. Only you must tell me about things. I shall be so glad when today is over. So now here the girl who was having bandages on her eyes, when she was asked by the narrator for the help, she said that let's have a little walk, and then she further requests the narrator that during the walk he must tell everything around them to the girl. Further, she tells the narrator that she would feel really very glad. Glad means happy when that day means the blind day would be over. The other bad days can't be half as bad as this. Further, she tells that this day is the worst day and the other days are half as bad as this day. Having a leg tied up and hopping about on a crutch is almost fun, I guess. Further, she tells that if you are performing as a lame, and if it is your lame day, that is a fun for you because there you are having a crutch and you hop using that crutch. So it is really a very fun. Further, she tells having an arm tied up is a bit more troublesome because you can't eat without help and things like that. So now further she tells the narrator that if you are having a day in which your arm is tied up, that is a bit troublesome. Troublesome means difficult. Here it is written difficult because on that day you cannot eat anything on your own and you need help to have your food. Further, she tells that I don't think I will mind being deaf for a day. At least not much. She tells that being a deaf also is not so difficult as being a blind. And I would not mind being a deaf person. But being blind is so frightening. She don't want to live as a blind. What does she tell further? My head aches all the time just from worrying that I will get hurt. Where are we now? Further, she tells that why doesn't she like to be blind? Because every time she has a worry in her mind that she is going to hurt, she is going to hit by something and she will get hurt. And because of that worry, her mind aches, has pain. Further, she asks the narrator that where they were moving at that time. In the playground, I said. So narrator answered that now at this time we are in the playground because the girl was unable to see anything. So she asked, because they were moving, so she asked the narrator that where they were at that time, and the narrator answered that they were in the playground. We are walking towards the house. Miss Beam is walking up and down the garden with a tall girl. Now further the narrator informed the girl that they were moving towards the house, and he also told that Miss Beam was walking here and there in the garden with a tall girl. A tall girl was there with Miss Beam, and she was walking up and down in the garden. "What is the girl wearing?" my little friend asked. "A blue cotton skirt and a pink blouse. I think it's Millie," she said. "What color is her hair?" "Very light," I said. "Yes, that's Millie. She is the head girl." So now here, further the girl asked to the narrator that what is the girl wearing? What was the dress that that girl was wearing who was walking with Miss Beam? So I answered that she means that girl who was with Miss Beam, she was wearing a blue cotton skirt and a pink blouse. Then listening this, that girl, she told me that I think it is Millie. And further she asked what is the color of her hair, of the hair of that girl. So I told her that the hair's color is very light. And she further confirmed that yes, that girl was Millie. She was the head girl of the school. "There is an old man tying up roses," I said. I further informed the girl who was with me that there is a man also in the garden who is tying up the roses, the bushes, the rose bushes. "Yes, that's Peter. He is the gardener. He is hundreds of years old." Now here, when I told the girl that there is also a man visible in the garden and he is tying up the roses, so the girl answered that he must be Peter. He is the gardener of the school, and maybe he is hundreds of years old. And here comes a girl with curly red hair. She is on crutches. "That's Anita," she said. Further, I informed my friend, that girl who was having bandages on her eyes, that there is also a girl who is coming towards us. She is having curly red hair and she is having crutches in her hands. Listening this, my friend answered that she is Anita. And so we walked on. Gradually, I discovered that I was 10 times more thoughtful than I ever thought I could be. I also realized that if I had to describe people and things to someone else, it made them more interesting to me. When I finally had to leave, I told Miss Beam that I was very sorry to go. "Ah," she replied, "then there is something in my system after all." So, in this final paragraph, the narrator tells us that I continued to walk with that girl. I chatted with that girl for a long time, and gradually I felt, gradually means slowly, I discovered that now I was 10 times more thoughtful than I ever was in the past. And I had never thought that I could be so much thoughtful. But when I visited this school, I really realized that this system was working, and it turned me so thoughtful about the people who were disabled. I also realized that if I had to describe people and things to someone else, it made them more interesting to me. Further, he said that this was really very good to help other people by describing things for them. Then finally, he was now to leave because he had to go back his home. So he told Miss Beam that he was very sorry to leave the school of Miss Beam. He did not want to go, but he had to go. Listening this, Miss Beam laughed and she was very proud on her system, because there was something in her system that was making people sensible, thoughtful about the problems of the disabled people. So students, now we have come to the end of this story. It is written by E.V. Lucas. And in this story, we have understood that if we really want to have understanding of the problems of the handicapped people, people who are disabled, so to understand it better, we must try to imagine ourselves in that situation. And in this way, we will feel more sensitive and more attached with the problems of such people. I hope you all have understood it very nicely, and very soon I will meet you with some other interesting lesson or poem. Till then, all of you take care of yourself. Thank you.